we're back in the kitchen. It's time to choose another ornament from our Hallmark Keepsakes ornament calendar. Dr. JJ, are you over there?
I am.
Wonderful. Number 32.
Number 32.
What do we have there?
It's Gizmo
Oh,
from Gremlins.
yeah.
Love
On the
Gizmo.
tree it goes. It's getting
And he-
full.
One of my favorites.
He sort of reminds me of my dog in my husband's car with the ears flapping. So I love it. I love it. He's so
Love
cute.
that.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. JJ.
Thank you, Dr.
And-
JJ.
Well, we are here. Dan Kohler's in the kitchen with us,
right.
and he's going to give us a little history lesson today. The legend of the Christmas cookie.
Oh, yeah. Multiple legends.
Yes.
Multiple
Oh,
legends.
really? Okay.
You know what? First of all, begin eating.
Yes, I've already started.
So it's Christmas time,
Already
which
got
means
it in
everyone's
mind.
got a cookie platter to fill with cookies, right? So we're sick of the old usuals, right? So it's time to open up the history books and find some interesting cookies. Yes.
Okay.
So
Oh, yeah.
today we're actually looking at the tools that we use to make some historic Christmas cookies, because that's kind of interesting, right? And so I'm going to look in the history of Germany and Switzerland primarily, and we're going to begin with something called Spritzgebäck.
Okay.
Spritzgebäck,
Which
which
is?
are these small cookies. I think you've got some. They are the butter
Look,
cookies
I'm in
on
an
your plate.
episode of Hogan's Heroes.
That's right. Spritzgebäck comes from the German words spritzen, to squirt, and Gebäck, which means cookie. So they are squirt cookies. And if you have one of these at home, they might be old and vintage.
What are those called?
These are Spritzgebäck tools.
Tools. Okay. Thank you for that. That's
It looks like a
exactly what I-
caulking gun,
okay.
but you fill
All
this
right.
with dough, and then the plunger just goes right down, and as you move it along, you fill out the cookies. Now, what's really interesting about them, for making lots of cookies, all you have to do is slip in a new die,
Oh, I love
and you
that.
get lots of different designs. So if you're trying to fill out your cookie platter, you just make one dough, different colors, sprinkle sugar on the top at the end, but you can flip these out
Just
and
cut it off then after you squish it.
you don't even have to. You don't even have to cut. The dough sticks to the. The dough will stick right to the metal, to your cookie
nice.
sheet. Yeah, it's a terrific tool. Now,
right.
moving on. The next tool that we have comes from Switzerland. This is a cookie called the Bratzelli, which sort of looks like a pizzelle iron. You know those?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Or a waffle
where can
iron?
you find those? Those are.
Well, you might find these at some swap meets, or you might find them in someone's attic, because right now we make electric versions of these. They look like waffle irons,
Yeah,
you know,
they
right?
do.
But originally, these are formulated out of cast iron because you would have put the dough in between them, pressed it down, and then shoved it in between smoldering coals in a fire. And cooked very slowly. And that's before we had electricity, right? But my favorite cookie, which is the square ones on your plate, this is the Springöle.
It smells like it has anise in it.
It does, right on the bottom. Springöle means little jumper, and these to me are the most interesting cookies. So you might have one of these weird pins in your house, yes?
I use it to make pie dough
Perfect.
because it gives you a
Nice little design.
pattern.
So
Yeah.
these designs, a lot of times you take Springöle dough and you press it into wooden molds that have commemorative scenes of either big events or family events, things like that. But you can also get them with just these pins that have just nice little designs, and you roll out the dough. Now it's called Springöle Little Jumper. Why?
Why?
Because of the main ingredient, which is ammonium carbonate.
What is that?
Normally
Chemicals.
yeah, chemicals. This is where the chemistry comes in, right? Normally we leaven cookies with sodium bicarbonate, which we know as baking powder or baking soda.
Yeah.
soda.
Leavening. Yeah.
Yes. Now, ammonium carbonate is a really interesting leavening tool because ammonium and carbon dioxide both are gases, and when they are heated up, they leave no trace of water behind, which means they lift the cookies up and they give them this really nice, you can see the foot on the bottom. So,
I ate the bottom.
well, it's good.
I ate it.
So the way you make these, they're very interesting. First you mix the dough for about 20 minutes, and we roll it out.
And rolling out music or anything?
Yeah, well,
Is that your regular sugar cookie recipe?
no, this is the Springöle recipe, which actually it has no butter. It's just eggs, powdered sugar, flour, and a little bit of kirsch, and then ammonium carbonate.
What's kirsch?
Kirsch
Is that a
is
liqueur?
a liqueur that's cherry flavored. Once you get it to about 7 to 10 millimeters thick,
tastes
you
like
take your Springöle pin and just press.
Look at that
roll
pretty
it.
design.
Isn't that beautiful?
I have one that has my name on it, so I just put.
Now, from here, things get very interesting. We're going to cut this into squares, and that's what I've got here. Now they have to rest for at least 24 hours.
Boy, they were tired.
Why? Why? Can they raise in the refrigerator cold like that?
They are not going to raise. They're only raised in the oven. Now, we put them in the refrigerator to rest because you want to preserve this design on top. If you don't refrigerate them, as you know, cookies will just heat up and sort of
Yeah,
puddle around,
spread.
right? They'll spread out, so you don't have this design. Now, you can see on the bottom of the cookie, it's still nice and moist, which means it's going to rise from the bottom. Now all you have to do Dip it in a little bit of water and fennel or anise seed. Put it right back on the tray. Then we throw these into the oven.
Yeah, special.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets interesting. You can see they rose right from the bottom. If you look at that from the side view, this is called a foot. Then that's what you're looking for, this little foot that lifts the cookie right off. The Springer, the little jumper. Right,
So
it
they're
jumps on a foot.
cookies.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm eating a foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff, history man.
Thank you.
I very much like. We're going to put this recipe on our Pinterest page, so sprink right over and get it. We're going to come back, and by special request and popular demand, Dean Butler is up next, right?
Yes, I'm going to show you a family tradition of mine that could be yours.
Nice.